The candidate played a Bach saraband, followed by a gigue, and from the very beginning there was a strong feeling of poise, of inner conviction, a sense of ownership of the music and the performance, a sense of understanding. It was played with a thick, resonant tone. There was real commitment in the sound, but there were a few small inconsistencies in controlling the quality of the sound, with associated intonation flaws here and there. Next, the candidate was joined by the pianist, moved on to the Beethoven Romance, and here there was a different dimension. There was a sense that the candidate engaged with the piano part. There was a true sense of line and phrase to the playing, and particularly at the end, a real feeling of inner conviction and purpose to the sound. There was some inexact intonation, which distracted slightly from the overall performance, mostly at the top end of the range, but in the context of the overall delivery, these issues were small. Next, the candidate moved on to Brahms' scherzo, and this had energy, drive. It was full of passionate intent. There was a sense that the candidate had a clear view, a clear overview of the musical narrative, the architecture of the piece. There's a lot in that music where the musician needs to manage section change, needs to manage corners and turn them knowingly and skillfully, and there was a lot of success in doing those things during that piece. Final item on the programme was Elgar's sonata, the first movement of this. And again, the main quality that came across, particularly in this piece actually, was a sense of personal commitment, personal communication, involvement in the performance. That emanated from a very rich, vibrant sound. Perhaps occasionally at the top end, the vibrato became a little tight and the sound seemed less relaxed and open. So what can we say about that performance now that each piece has been played? What can we say about the performance as a whole, having heard the whole programme? And this is what we address through the second set of criteria, which consider aspects of communication, interpretation and delivery. Well, there's strength in each of these areas in this performance. In communication, there's clear conviction and involvement throughout the performance of the programme, and in fact, in terms of the sequence and pacing of the musical events in this programme, there was a growing intensity to the communication. There was a sense of increasing scale and scope, and by the time we got to the Brahms and then the Elgar, the communication was very convincing and persuasive. In terms of interpretation, there was strong stylistic realization, strong characterization brought to each item in the programme. There was a feeling of genuine entry into the style of each of these works. And if we think all the way from solo Bach at the beginning, which is a very different role to play and a language to interpret, all the way to the Elgar at the end, whereby there's a partnership with a full-scale accompaniment and a different role to be played. In each item, the candidate brought vitality and energy to his interpretations. This also is contingent on blending and balancing, and all but the Bach, of course, were accompanied works. And the relationship when you're playing different repertoire is between you and the piano varies as well, and there were good ensemble blending and balancing skills shown throughout. Finally, coming to delivery, well, there was a very effective blend and balance between musical ideas and intentions and the technical resources available to deliver them. Yes, there were small inconsistencies in intonation in places, occasionally also in tone, but the underlying feeling and the assessment of delivery here was of confidence and assurance throughout the performance. And so, perhaps unsurprisingly, and very definitely, the result for this violin ARSM is a distinction.